Good afternoon, super friends, and welcome to the Friday, October 31st edition of the Sacred News and Weather. Happy Halloween, Blessed Samhain. I don't know what the offering is for Dia de los Muertos, but we're right there as well. Just honoring the cycles of death and rebirth. That is all very close to us now. I don't know about all of you, but I have barely slept this week, and I don't know if that is because I'm a woman of a certain age, or if it is because the veil is thin, or if it's because of my cats, or what is going on. But in general, there has just been a lot of energy happening around us. And so if you've made it this far, awesome. We probably have a few more days to go of a little bit of wackiness and wonder in the ether. So hang in there. And I really did think that we were going to be talking about death and rebirth today. As much as I say I'm not in the business of predicting the future, I am very much in the business of death and rebirth and really allowing that which is no longer serving us to die off so that we can step more fully into that which is. It's not just end of life as we know it in our human form, but it is the end of old versions of ourselves and stepping into new versions. And that is much of the work that I do. And I'm like, oh, it's that time. So we're going to talk about it. Except that, and we are, but what came through for us this morning, it almost feels like mixing metaphors because I got a very Hindi oriented message this morning. So we're going to roll with it. And before I begin, I'm going to give you my little preamble, which is, as with anything I do, take what resonates, leave the rest behind. These messages are timeless. So whether you're tuning in real time on Halloween or you're tuning in later or much, much later, trust that if you're tuning in, there very likely is something here for you, even if it's not the entirety of the message. But if there isn't, don't make yourself fit in. I did have a message earlier in the week where I stopped mid-message to say, if this is your message, you will know. And if it is not, please don't make it yours, because there was some information that came through in there that felt sticky for someone who didn't already know it was happening for them. So I didn't want them to think that it was going to happen. Anyway, that's why I give you this little preamble every time I begin. And I think I actually am ready to begin. I will say I had the thought of coming here in costume, but I really couldn't bring myself to do it. I said at my kids' school this morning to one of the parents, they're like, "Oh, what are you dressing up as?" And I think I'm just like donning my witch chapeau, which is like basically like a baseball cap for me any other day, and calling it good. Some years I go big, and some years I don't, and this is a year of don't. Not for any other reason than really protecting my own peace. Sometimes it's like, no, I've got enough happening. I don't need to go create a big, beautiful Halloween costume. I will dress up my kids and delight in their delight and call it a day. So anyway, I am going to close my eyes. Oh, I just heard, what are your kids dressing up as? You should come and find me on Facebook because I will post pictures there. But Nora is obsessed with Minnie Mouse, and she's been Minnie Mouse for the last 4 years in a row, and this year is no exception. I was joking and calling her Medium Mouse because she is no longer Minnie, but she's rocking her fourth Minnie Mouse costume, and Jonah is going as Daniel-san from The Karate Kid. So he's been a little obsessed with those movies. He's been watching them over and over and over again, which is sweet. But he's not into martial arts. He's very much a soccer player. So go figure. Anyway, that's enough. I am going to, for real now, close my eyes and just share with you what came through for us today. So again, as I started with, I really thought that we would be going toward the cycles of death and rebirth, which are so prevalent here for us now in the energy of Samhain, in the energy of fall and the dying off and the letting go. And what I heard for us yesterday, not this morning, but what I heard for us yesterday, which I'm going to bring through because I feel like it has resonance and relevance for where we are going, is it's time to kill your darlings, which sounds very awful if you don't know the context. And kill your darlings comes forward in a literary sense. If you are a writer or know one and you use this phrase with them, they will know exactly what you're talking about. It involves the editor or your friends and relations telling you that a storyline, a particular character, a chapter, a paragraph that you've labored and toiled over, that you've like really worked hard to create, is actually not serving the story. So it's time to go. It's time to kill your darlings and allow there to be continuity, allow the creativity to flow, allow the arc of the storyline to happen without your little darlings. And it's one of the hardest things to do as a writer, is to kill your darlings. And it's one of the hardest things for us to do in our lives so that we can step into who we were truly and always meant to be. We have to kill off the parts of ourselves. We have to allow the parts of ourselves that are no longer serving us to die off so that we can be reborn. And that is really where I thought we were going today. And to a certain extent, we are, but we're going to shift it a little bit. It feels like a little shift to the left, which tells me it's ancestral, which also tracks with where we are. Our ancestors are coming through. They're beckoning us to heal. They're inviting us to step into healing. They're inviting us to step into our highest timelines. They're inviting us to kill our darlings so that we can heal the whole ancestral line. It's not just for you. Your healing is not just for you. Just as on Wednesday, I mentioned that your sweetness and allowing sweetness all the way into you is not just for you, it's for everyone. So is your healing. So any healing work you are gifting yourself with, any little part of you that is no longer serving you, that you are killing off and letting go of and releasing, that is serving to heal the whole of your ancestral line and the whole of your line to come forward. And so know that that healing is not just for you. And that brings me very much into where we are today, which is when I sat down, the first image that I saw was of this unusual woman who used to live in the town that I live in now. Now, to be fair, I live in kind of a wild and wacky town. I often say that I would probably be best served to move myself into some rural community or little community in the Midwest or the South who has never even heard of the work that I do, though I would likely be burned if I did that. But my town is filled with unusual characters who are, and very normal people as well, who are deeply rooted in their spirituality, which is how I landed here. But this particular woman was a follower of the guru of the hugging saint, as she's also known, Amma. She was a devoted follower of Amma, and she would often sort of anchor herself. She was a larger woman, and she always wore these robes. She always had robes on, and she always had a bindi. But it wasn't a decorative bindi. It was the traditional red bindi, the dye bindi that was going on. And she would just park herself on street corners and or on a park bench. And I'm one of those people who likes to talk to unusual people when I'm not in invisibility mode. I also have an invisibility cloak where I move through my day hoping that nobody will see me. I'm very much an introvert, but when I see someone like that and I have the spaciousness, she is someone who I will engage with. So I never had a full conversation with her until once upon a time, but I always made eye contact. I always said hello, and occasionally I would buy her a coffee or a tea. She liked to station herself outside of our local coffee shop. So I knew her face, I knew of her, and I didn't know truly who she was until we were somewhere completely different. And she grabbed my arm. I was in another town. I was like 4 or 5 towns over. I was sitting in another cafe, and she came in and she came over and she grabbed my arm and she said, "I have a very important message for you." Now, as you might imagine, I am someone who perks up when someone says, "I have a very important message for you." And I didn't know whether it was going to be like, grace my palm with some gold and I'll give you my message, or if it was going to be one of genuine like something is calling her to talk to me now. I didn't know, but I invited her to sit down with me, and it was not a grace my palm with gold. It was a, I have been seeing you around Fairfax. I know that you're a very important person. Here's what I have to share with you. And there was a little bit of a miscommunication in the beginning of our conversation where I thought she told me that her name was Durga, like the goddess Durga, who was a goddess of divine justice, who birthed Kali through her third eye. Kali, the destroyer, but not the destroyer the way you might think of the destroyer energy. We all need destroyer energy. We all need a destroyer who uses love to come through to do away with that which is no longer serving us. So if you are someone who hears the name Kali and thinks destroyer and thinks like burn the whole house down, yes, and she does not, she acts from a place of love, not destruction for the sheer destruction of it all. It is all in service of love. So bringing that forward here now as well. But I thought she was telling me that her name was Durga. And at one point she stopped and she said, "No, no, 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 you don't understand. I am not Durga. You are Durga." And it caught me by surprise. And why am I sharing this with you now? I'm sharing this with you now because it feels relevant to you understanding your own power. That I was putting the power into this woman who was delivering me a fairly potent message about my work in the world. And also, she was there to tell me that my daughter was coming, even though I had given up on having my daughter at the time, on having a second child. I had had 4 miscarriages and I was done. And she came to tell me that I was not done and that there would be a child, and she was not wrong. But I tell you this story of her calling me Durga because I feel like she was putting the power that I was giving her back on me. And she was reminding me that I was my own power source, which I feel like is related to what needs to die off in our systems right now. We are meant to be killing off anything that is stealing our power, and any place that we are putting our own power, we are assuming that the power is outside of ourselves. We are meant to reclaim our own power. Now, this is actually not the message. This is just what that I heard this morning. This is actually what's just coming through right now. Where I went with this woman, with this guru of Amma, of Saint Amma, the hugging saint, I in meditation this morning, she took me to the image of Kali being birthed from her third eye. So Durga is very much the goddess of divine justice, and she is the mother, the birther of Kali. And the way there are many different legends, of course, there are many different storylines. I do not know them all, and you very well may likely know them more than I do. But the legend, the story that I know is that Durga was in chaos. There was a war of darkness and light going on before her, and she was a warrior of light. That is not to suggest that darkness is bad. It's just one cannot overtake the other. They must coexist peacefully. And there was a war going on between the two of them, and there was this agent of darkness. I'm sure he or she has a name and I don't know what it is, but basically every time a drop of blood was shed on this agent of darkness, it multiplied. So darkness was multiplying and multiplying and multiplying, and Durga was overwhelmed. She was no longer able to stay in her full power. She was weakening, and her answer, the way she solved the problem, was to birth Kali through her eye, through her third eye. And Kali was born into the battle of darkness and light. And she used her potent destroyer energy to do away with the excess darkness and to bring the light all the way in. Now, this is actually what I feel like we're being invited into right now. I feel like this image came to me, this storyline came to me, this like I'm putting the power outside of me, and I'm being invited to take back my power, and we are being invited to become warriors of the light. It's not only about what is happening out in our world on our planet right now, which also feels very present and very potent and difficult to ignore, that we are meant to become warriors of the light. We are meant to battle the darkness that is threatening to overtake our world with our light, with our spiritual connectivity, with our light. But we are really being invited to hone that light inside of us. And I feel like it's going to be honed, the darkness that is residing within us, that is keeping us in a lower vibration. Here's what it feels like truly, like at the cellular level, at the personal level, for those of you whose energy I'm tapping into today. It feels like there's an ongoing battle of darkness and light within your own system. And of course, that is always true for us, but it feels really prevalent, and there feels like there's something truly and really at stake for you personally right now, for that lightness to win. But the fear that the darkness is going to win is overtaking your belief, your faith in the lightness within you. And that fear overtaking the lightness is allowing you, it's bringing you back into that lower vibration, that vibration where you're acting on impulse, that vibration where you're not taking care of your being, whether it's your physical body, your emotional body, your mental body, or your spiritual body, or all of the above. The fear of the darkness fully overtaking the light, even though that's not happened, it may have happened before, it may be threatening to be happening in your system now, but it's not actually what's happening. It's your fear of it happening, and your fear of, I will always succumb to this lower frequency, I will always succumb to this lower vibration. It's that fear that is keeping you stagnant and actually keeping you in the lower vibration. And what I'm seeing today with the image of Kali being birthed out into your world to battle your darkness, it feels to me like Spirit is trying to tell us that light is going to win. The lightness within you, no matter what you believe, no matter what has happened before, no matter what we are seeing out in the world right now, we are being invited to remember that love always wins, that love will win here, regardless of the outcome. And that feels important too. And that feels like it's harkening back to Monday's message, where, like, no matter what happened between these two people, love was going to win. All was going to happen as it was meant to happen. And that feels really present here with us today as well, that you're being invited to surrender fully into the light, to surrender fully into your light body, to trust that the light is always going to win. The darkness will always be there, but you can choose the love. You can choose to reclaim your power. You can choose not to give the goddess Durga over to the person in front of you that you think is more powerful than you, that you believe is more potent, that you believe is more connected, that you have maybe even put on a pedestal. You're being invited to bring that all the way into you and to lift yourself up on that pedestal, not in an egoic way, not in a, like, in that ego, yeah, I'm better than you, I've got this. It's not the ego. It is what's underneath the ego. It is your soul that knows that you came here to be a being of the light, that you came here to be in your light body. And it was the shadow of your wounding, the shadow of your upbringing, the shadow of what happened in your relationships, in your friendships, in your family, in your ancestral line, that brought you to this current battle of darkness and light. But I can see, and Spirit wants me to tell you, that the light is going to win. No matter what you believe, the light is going to win, and you're being invited to surrender into that as truth, and to move your energy forward, to move your next decision, to make your next plan based on no matter what your fear is telling you, no matter what darkness wants to move through you, that it is the light that you're stepping toward, that it is love that you're stepping toward, and love is going to win no matter what the outcome of any particular individual circumstance, no matter what individual circumstance, no matter what you're up against right now. We're being invited to trust and surrender into the light, into our own power, and to remind ourselves and act from a place of love is going to win. I feel like we're very nearly complete, but I'm getting a nudge to look at my notes. Yeah. Yeah. Dare to move from a place of faith and not fear. And again, faith in my world never refers to a particular religious faith or faith in a particular kind of god or goddess or system. Faith is in love, in connectivity, in your own connectivity with your highest self or your divinity, whatever your divinity is. We're being invited to trust faith over fear, because faith will bring us more deeply into the light. There's also, um, I wrote, let me see if I can unpack it. You should see the chicken scratch on my piece of paper here. A war of choices. I wrote, we're in a war of choices. And I feel like that's referring to what I was seeing, the battleground of darkness and light, that I was seeing Kali battling, and Kali like literally like eating the darkness, eating the shadow, eating it and like enjoying it, digesting it and birthing more light. And it feels like there is that same sort of battle in many of you right now. And what I want you to envision for yourself is that your free will can choose the lightness. It's like your free will has been choosing the darkness because it's familiar. It's been choosing, and again, darkness, like I'm not talking about evil necessarily. I'm just talking about lower vibrations, things that keep you from stepping into who you're truly meant to be. But that free will can choose the lightness, can choose love, and you're being encouraged, invited, like your guides are cheering you on. They're being cheerleaders right now for you to choose the light, but ultimately the choice is yours. And so just remembering that you get to choose faith over your fear. And each time you do, each little piece of permission, whether it's a big decision or a small decision, every time you choose the light, every time you choose the higher frequency, it reminds your nervous system that this is where you're going and that it can feel good and that you get to feel good and that you get to feel that love. We're being reminded that our healing comes from your free will, your choice, your choosing light and love. And now for real, I think that is what I have for us today. Thank you for being with me. I feel like this was not a particularly light message, even though I was talking about light and dark. It does have a like, I don't know, a heavier resonance today. So, but let that heaviness become the light. Let the light fill the heaviness of it, the weight of it. It feels like, I guess there is more. It feels like there's just a weighty decision on you right now. I know for me, I have several right now. I'm about to choose I have already chosen, but it was not an easy choice. a course of study that I'm going to be doing in the new year and quite possibly for the next many years. And so I've been really sitting with that decision and where I want to spend my energy and my money that I can serve my soul's work best. So that I've been sitting with. And I've also been sitting with some choices about where I want to put my heart and my spirit and my body as well. And so all of this is very, very forward for me right now, which tells me that if it's forward for me and we are all connected, that there's something big happening for you. And maybe that's the weight that I'm feeling here in the collective. And so if you are making a choice about your life path, if you're making a choice about your heart path, if you're making a choice about where to put your energy, that is the weight that I'm feeling, but you get to choose lightness. You get to choose the easier path. I just realized that my dryer has been running, and I hope it's not being picked up in this whole message, but so be it if it is. All right, for real. I love you all. Thank you for being with me. Please like and share and subscribe. Tell your friends I'm trying to grow the channel. Comment below. Let me know that this is resonating. Let me know what you want to hear more about. Let me know, let me know, let me know. Come talk to me. Okay, bye.